Now continuing with what has unfortunately been our top story since Monday night, this tragic shooting at the church in Sacramento that took the life of 3 young girls and a chaperone. A lot of people may be wondering how a supervised visit could go so wrong. To help us better understand the process and what else could have been done to ensure the safety of these young sisters is Joe Nullett, Executive Director of Supervised Visitation Network, joining us now from Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome to Fox 40 News at 11.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate it.
First, supervised visitation can come in all kinds of different forms, right? The chaperone can be a family friend, as in the deadly case deputies here are investigating, or a family can pay a business like yours to monitor these sessions?
That is correct. Actually, supervised visitation can be done by a paid professional supervisor. There are nonprofit organizations that provide services for free. There are nonprofits that have very reduced services that are offered. Our organization doesn't provide direct service. We are a actual national, international group of providers of supervised visitation across the United States and Canada.
And for most of the families that you work with through this network, do most maintain a facility, I don't know, with comfy rooms and maybe toys where the parents and kids meet up, or do workers usually go out into a variety of different community settings and facilitate visits?
It runs the gauntlet. It runs from individual private providers that do community visits. And I can't really comment specifically on this case without having the full facts. But traditionally, when there are injunctions for protection and domestic violence across the country, United States, and most states, those visits would happen in a secure facility. And when there are concerns about domestic violence, these facilities might even have metal detectors, wand detectors. There's even a facility 2 miles from where this incident happened that has metal detectors, that has an on-site program, that has safety and security protocols, and also has trained monitors who understand the nuances of domestic violence.
And just to be clear, the kind of facility that you're talking about that may have metal detectors and be more secure, going to a visit in that kind of setting, that would be a setting ordered by a judge, or the family would have to choose that?
Well, it can be ordered by the judge. When judges review the circumstances of the family and identify the risks that are present, they can specify a particular provider do the services because of their concerns about the risk. Or sometimes in California, it's very common, they will ask the family to seek out the services of a provider, in which case it falls on the parent who is at risk to find a provider.
Which that's a very stressful situation to be the
Yes.
parent who is at risk, and depending on just, you know, your overall mental state, living in that kind of situation and dealing with it and trying to get out of it, you might not be doing the best research or not connecting to the best resources. Also, another question, a parent who maybe has left a violent situation with their kids and filed a restraining order against their partner may for the first time be dealing with raising kids and maintaining a household without 2 incomes. So the cost of paying for perhaps a more formal supervised visit chaperone in one of these, facilities that has metal detectors really, might not be an option. Fees can run several $100s per session for something like this, right?
Well, in some communities across the country, including my own here in Jacksonville, Florida, the communities have identified how important it is, and they fund these programs. There are programs that are free to victims of domestic violence. And they have all of these protections in place, including the training. See, when domestic violence is present in supervised visitation, there are so many ways other than the physical threats that perpetrators of domestic violence can inflict more emotional risk to the victims as well as to the children. So it's really important that the training and the awareness of these risks are present. So there are communities across the United States where they value this service, and they have funded these programs, and they've made them either free or affordable. So our organization is working to educate communities, courts, and legislators that this is really important. This is not glorified babysitting. This is not something that can always be done by relatives or in places like churches. It needs to be safe, and we need to protect these families and these victims, and especially these children. It's really important work, and this is the message we're trying to get out.
And it's a message that needs to be promulgated throughout communities, because families that are finding themselves in these situations really may just not understand what resources do exist. As if you pointed out, there's really one of these facilities with metal detectors 2 miles away from where these 5 people lost their lives. Just quickly before we run out of time, in your industry, given that you're a national network, what is your opinion about there being more standardized rules for these types of situations? You said the settings can all run the gauntlet. Is that really beneficial?
Well, it is important. Even in your state of California, there are some judicial standards about how supervised visitation providers should be qualified, but there's no governing authority. You have to get a license to cut hair in California and most states, but you don't need a license to supervise somebody who might have committed child sexual abuse, domestic violence, or other serious crimes. And it's unfortunate, and that families who are having these very serious, complicated issues have to put themselves and their children at risk. So we're really fighting hard, and we need to get the message out how important it is to protect our children and protect these victims by funding and educating courts and communities how important this work is. And I don't know the particulars of this case, but it seems like another example of how the work of supervised visitation needs to be supported.
Just a
And
stark
professional
reality.
supervised visitation. Thank you.
Just a stark reality. You're pointing at there. You need a license to cut a hair, but not to supervise some of these accused offenders. Thank you so much for your insight this morning.
Take care. Thank you for having me.